Thank you. Representative Hanna.
Thank you. Thank you both for being here. In reading both of your testimonies, there's a very common, clear theme, and that is that, to me, and argue if I'm mistaken, but that there is high value added to the society that immigrants move to, the higher the education. It's, I don't know if it's direct or not, but from a negative 89,000 with below a high school education to a 105,000 with plus with someone with much higher master's or doctorate, to the point where, Ms. Zavodny, you said that we should give citizenship or visas to virtually everyone who has a job offer in this country because there's so much value added there. And you suggest also that it should be tied to the business cycle, that we should adjust immigration based on our own demand, and that I want to ask you about, and the chairman mentioned also our policy of having people come in who have family ties and basing immigration somewhat on that. I mean, it is clearly true people with higher educations also have family ties. We can fill that need. Can you, either one or both, give me some idea of what a policy would look like that was both fair and reasonable to people who want to come here, and this country's need over time that somehow that is dynamic because of our business cycle? What an efficient bill that served this country would look like.
Well, you know, I mean, the labor market is still not doing very well, as we know. We have a jobs deficit of about 9 or 10 million right now, if we got back to the employment rates of the past. In the next decade, we'll need, just for natural population growth, about 9 or 10 million more jobs. That's about 20 million. This bill contemplates about 15 million new workers, 20 million overall, but about 15 million new workers. So what I would say is that the next decade better be the greatest jobs bonanza in American history, or we are going to see a continuation of a decline in work. And that is very troubling, especially among the young. So we have to think long and hard about that. If you wanted, I think, more sensible, would be to look at what the Jordan Commission suggested in the 90s. Barbara Jordan headed a commission in the 90s that basically said we should try to curtail family-based immigration and put more emphasis on skills. So,
to interrupt you quickly, and you mentioned in your paper that I read with great interest that all of the employment gains have gone to immigrant workers. This is extremely puzzling since the native-born workers account for about 2/3 of the growth in working age population. Yet you offer no kind of thought, you offer a question but not an answer.
Yeah, it is striking. It is, as I say, the idea that all what you're referring to is this idea that it looks like there are about 5 million more immigrants working than there were in 2000, and the number of natives working is down by about 1 million. So it looks like what net gain there was in employment all went to the immigrants. That is certainly very consistent with the possibility that immigrants displace natives in the labor market. But by itself, it isn't proof that that happened. What it does show is that you can have large-scale immigration. Remember, the last 13 years, the latest census data show 16 million new immigrants settled in the United States, and we've had very little job growth. So large-scale immigration does not necessarily coincide with large-scale job growth. And so, and we just have a system that runs on autopilot. Maybe that's one of the biggest messages to take on that. Maybe we need to constantly be recalibrating it based on that.
Dr. Zavodny?
I think as an economy, it's policymakers, you have to make a choice, and we as a country have to make a choice about how we're going to admit people, since we're not going to have open borders. And so fundamentally it comes down to a choice between family ties or employment. And if the priority is economic growth, and these days it really kind of does need to be, then there needs to be greater emphasis on the employment side, at least for now, instead of on the family ties, because we know that immigrants who come in under family ties have lower skill levels, lower employment rates, lower tax contributions than those who are coming in on the basis of having a job offer. So I would say it's not that everyone who gets a job offer should be admitted, it's that to be able to come in, maybe you should have a job offer.
Thank you. I yield back.
Representative Paul.